Welcome back to A Closer Walk. Today we're on Unit 2 and Day 2. That's page 35 in your member books and page 45 in our youth edition. Today we're going to be talking about God's plan versus our plan. Our memory verse for this week and throughout the next several days is Psalms chapter 20 verse 7. And the psalmist says, "Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God." Understanding what God is about to do where you are is more important than you telling God what you want to do for Him. You see, when we look at the story of in the book of Exodus of Moses leading God's people out of the wilderness, let me ask the question. Did Moses deliver the people? Or did God deliver the people? Well, you know the story when Moses tried to do that and got ahead of himself and saw the Egyptian that was persecuting the Israelites and he killed him and that got him in trouble. And he had to flee for 40 years. Have you ever started something and later on prayed and asked God to bless it so that He could get the glory out of it? Well, God doesn't get the glory out of what you do, that is your plans. God gets the glory out of His plan when it's done His way, according to His will. And that goes for what goes on in the church too. That's when He gets the glory, when we follow God's way. Psalms 81 verses 10 through 12 and verses 13 to 14 gives us the statement that God makes the statement that He delivered the children of Israel out of Egypt and not Moses himself. There are some questions on page 35 and 36 of your member guide and pages 46 and 47 of your youth edition that I'd like for you to answer those questions after you've read Psalms 81. And verses 10 through 12 and verses 13 through 14. This will help you formulate your thinking about what is most important, whether or not it's what we want to do or what God wants us to do. So you need to know what God is about around you in order that you need to do what He wants you to do. See, God at this point in our country and in our nation is calling His people to return to Him, so that He can perform His plan for His people. And I'd like to ask if you would just kind of take a moment and think about what God's plan is for your life and in the life of those around you. Why don't you pray that God's plan, God's will be done in your family, that God's plan will be executed in your school, that God would and his plan would be seen and understood in your church so that He can get the glory out of doing His will according to His way. Ask God to reveal His plan for your workplace and for your career moves and what you're doing to prepare yourself in your career. Ask God to reveal what He's doing in the community, your community around you, your neighborhood, your apartment complex. Ask God what He's doing in the nation so that you can join Him, because our desire is to join Him according to His plan, not according to ours. In summary, for our lesson for today, number one is do things God's way. Second thing I'd like to leave with you today is that God will accomplish more in 6 months through a people yielded to Him than we could do in 60 years without Him. Then number three is that I'm God's servant and I adjust my life to what He is about to do. I trust you can say that. And then finally, understanding what God is about to do where I am is more important than telling God what I want to do for Him. I would like to ask that you would examine the truth that you've realized today Write it down. And then formulate your prayers and ask God to help you apply that in your life as you experience Him. Our memory verse for this week, Psalms 20:7. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord, our God. I hope that you join us on our Facebook page and our blogs and let us know what's going on in your life as we continue in our closer walk, experiencing God.